morning. I think we're going to go to a video, actually. I'm going to go back to a video. So watch a video. Here's another one. I'm going to start with this, and then I'll introduce myself.
Bienvenidos a todos. Hoy hemos preparado una presentación especial para ustedes sobre el cambio disruptivo global, la inteligencia artificial. Para hablar sobre este tema en constante evolución, me gustaría presentarles a Lahlou, director de inversiones de renta variable en Aperture Investors. Anis ha pasado más de 20 años analizando e invirtiendo en el mundo de la tecnología e innovación. Anis pasó 2 décadas en JP Morgan, donde gestionó uno de los únicos fondos de tecnología e innovación en el mundo dedicado específicamente a Europa.
Hoy, en Aperture, Anis cuenta con el apoyo de un equipo de 4 analistas en Londres y París que lo ayudan a analizar la innovación por verticales, como la inteligencia artificial, las ciencias de la vida o la transición energética.
Le cederé la palabra para que comparta con ustedes sus ideas sobre la inteligencia artificial y las oportunidades que presenta en nuestro continente, Europa.
Well, good morning. I'm Anis Lahlou, and I've been doing this job for 24 years, and this is the first time I'm introduced by people who don't exist, okay? So it's, this video you've just seen, this gentleman here, and the 2 other ladies have been created by an AI startup based in London called Synthesia. So it's incredible, and I thought it would be a very good introduction for us, for you to see how seamlessly and how easy AI, generative AI, integrates in our everyday life by showing you a video like this. The other interesting thing is we've been spending a lot of time on innovation in my team, and as this gentleman has just explained, we look at it by verticals. We spend a ton of time today on AI. Every day we go at work, it's an open university, and we've published, what you see in there is the quarterly investment letters. We published a ton of documentation and research on AI. So I've got 10 minutes with you. I will try and synthesize 2 or 3 years of work into 10 minutes and hopefully give you a little bit of a flavor of what AI is about today, how exciting it is, obviously, how life-changing it is, and how to invest in it here in Europe. Obviously, all the focus at the moment is in the US, but I'll share with you some interesting stuff here in Europe. So we're in Madrid, in Mind Conference, and it says, in this slide it says Minds, actually the typo is human. This is because I used minds rather than mind, it's my mistake. So that's the human typo. But I just want to tell you what you can do with AI in 5 minutes. In 5 minutes, you can render a very photorealistic picture of Cervantes there on a laptop, trying to write poetry. That poetry is written by Claude, by Anthropic. The picture is generated by another UK or London-based startup called Stability AI. And you've got poetry just like that in 5 seconds. And we can even actually sing it. Thanks to an AI that is actually based here in Madrid, in Spain. So that's voice mode, and let's hear the song. It's a little bit cheesy.
Minds melding, progress accelerating, innovations meshing, trends spotting, the future sketching, minds connecting, but mind.
All right, it's mainstream, right? Everyone can do it. You can do it, your nephew can do it, everyone can do it. So let's move on a little bit to other stuff. I'm a portfolio manager, like I said, 24 years of careers. I have never done anything that has to do with private jets or private yachts, let alone being in a private jet. But just going into Midjourney and prompting Midjourney to design for me a Tesla-inspired yacht and a Tesla-inspired jet, and this is what you get. Again, 5 seconds. Your mind produces the prompt, and then this is what you get. So the frontier is you take this and you put it in a Dassault platform, Dassault 3D, and then the system can check the aerodynamics for you, can check and enhance the aerodynamics for you, can suggest what kind of glass you should be using, what kind of material. You see where I'm going with this, right? So it can even suggest, components of the shelf to produce this. If they don't exist, you can print them in 3D. That's the future. And we're not far off, it's happening right now. So just give you a little bit of flavor of all these things and how impactful they are. McKinsey did a very seminal study this year, and they looked at the global economy, and they looked at 60 use cases of AI, and they come up with a magical number between 30 and 50% boost to GDP in the next 10 years. You know, you've heard it well. I haven't said 3 to 5, I said 30 to 50% boost to GDP. It's just mind-blowing, the size of this thing. You know, typically we get the GDP wrong by a magnitude of 0.5. We're talking, you know, a factor of 100 here. So that's where we're going with these things. They're really life-changing. And that's what I can tell you in the space of 5 minutes. So what I want to share with you as well is how can you invest in it here in Europe? So all the attention at the moment when it comes to investment is laser focused on what you see here on the top of this slide, NVIDIA. This is the H100 by NVIDIA. It's one of the most advanced computer or supercomputer by NVIDIA, part of what they call the Grace Hopper architecture. What you've got there is a supercomputer, a machine that weighs about 30 kilos. It has 35,000 components in it. It's got 1 trillion transistors in it, trillion semiconductor components in it. And if you think this thing can stand on its own and exist on its own, of course it's not. It needs an entire ecosystem to be produced. And when it comes to producing this stuff, this is one of the key areas where Europe is strong. I'm sure you may have heard of ASML. The ASML key machine that you can see there at the top, that's the size of a double-decker bus. Yeah? And what it does is it produces this extreme ultraviolet light that allows you to engrave on silicon 10,000 times thinner than the human hair. And that's the green lights that you see. Normally they're purple. It's done in a vacuum chamber inside of the clean room of a semiconductor fab. So that double-decker bus is essential in producing this supercomputer. And then there is an entire ecosystem, because once you've done that engraving that's called lithography, you need to deposit the material atom by atom. So the leader in this company's got 50% market share worldwide is ASM International, another Dutch company that deposits on silicon the metal atom by atom. That's the kind of precision you need to build a supercomputer. To use a sentence from Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, you know, you've got a supercomputer there. It takes a ton of robots to produce it, and it takes a supercomputer to test it. Once it's produced and it's ready, you want to make sure that it's actually working. One of the testing companies is actually not far from here in Milan. It's a company called Technoprobe, and what they do is testing. So these semiconductor components, when they're produced and they're onto a die or a wafer, that's a technical word for it, you want to test them before they go into packaging, otherwise you spend a lot of money for nothing if they don't work. This company's got these probing cards that you can see here. Inside of them, in 1 centimeter square, you've got something like 15,000 needles. They're going to touch the semiconductor, the high-end semiconductor, and check that it's working. This is the kind of, again, strength of European innovation and European AI production food chain. And then once you've done all that stuff, you need to package it. Advanced packaging. There is a small company in the Netherlands that does the advanced packaging, because as you go into AI, these things shrink. You can't shrink them more than 1 nanometer physically. You're going to start stacking them up. And you can see, like I said, there is 1 trillion transistors. The transistors that you can see on that supercomputer, they're stacked up. The leading company of stacking them up and advanced packaging them is this company, BE Semiconductor, again in the Netherlands. So you need this entire ecosystem to produce that, and you know, investing in it is understanding actually when these companies are going to work for your portfolio. I'm not telling you, you know, just take a picture of this slide and take all these names and put the money in them. It doesn't work like that, because there are cycles, and some companies may be exposed, for example, to Apple, which is a little bit soggy, but the ecosystem is super strong. And this is one area, and again, I've got just 10 minutes to talk to you about this, but one area of strength of Europe is semiconductor. I can tell you about, you know, 3 or 4 other areas, for example, Industry 4.0. I'm sure you're familiar with this concept. you know, BMW, for example, is building their factory in 2025 in Hungary to produce the next generation electric vehicle cars. As a matter of fact, they already have the factory ready in digital format today. And they've done it with NVIDIA, they've done it on NVIDIA Omniverse platform, and that's amazing because who knows what happens by 2025 when the BRICS starts going into Hungary and building that factory for real. We may already be in a world where you can throw in a teachless robot, where you can just take a robot and put it on the Omniverse platform of NVIDIA. The robot will know what to do. You don't need to teach it what to do in a factory floor. That's the next generation. That's where we're working towards. And if you think of Europe as a manufacturing region, obviously, if you automate and make all these factories smarter, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for us. It's a big deal for the margin of BMW, and it's very, very good for investing in Europe. So I've just given you a glimpse, and I can talk about pharma as well. I'm sure you know that pharma companies, they spend about 20% of their top line each year on R&D. Just think of that number. There's like 1 year of revenues every 5 years in R&D. That's a heavy ticket. Imagine what AI can do to accelerate that R&D. This is like, it's perfect ground for AI to go and help a sector that represents 14% of MSCI Europe. So just giving you a little bit of flavor. And obviously, all this stuff is new. And I started by showing you a video and telling you all those people don't exist. They've been generated by AI. There is a vibrant European startup ecosystem. Giving you a few examples here. I could make a slide with 100 names. But, like I just showed you Voice Mode in Spain. They create sounds. They create music. They create all sorts of, music-based AI production. Well, you've got, we've talked about Stability AI. We use them for Cervantes. Hugging Face is where all the LLMs actually live. That's the place or the library for the LLMs. Synthesia is what we used to produce that video at the beginning, and so on. So, 2 minutes left, and I hear the people saying, is it too late, this AI, is it a bubble, NVIDIA's already doubled and tripled, what are you telling us about? I want to tell you, honestly, we've been researching, and I said this at the beginning, we've produced a lot of notes on AI, and we spend the majority of our time researching AI because this is so big, no superlative word is appropriate, and when you think about it, you're going to think about, for example, revolutions like the internet, and I think that's the right comparator. And if you think about these revolutions, they generally take about 8 or 10 years to play out, okay? They're not an overnight thing. They're not a 1 year. We just build in AI, we just build in large language models. They're going to be the front face of every single application in the world. So if you think about the longevity of 8 years, this is NVIDIA, and this is what NVIDIA has done in the dot-com bubble in 8 years. And now try and picture where NVIDIA is today in this chart. Just try and guess, and I'm going to show you in a second. That's NVIDIA. Okay, so just put this in your mind and just remind, okay, we may be wrong, like technology evolves so fast today, it's not going to be an 8-year or 10-year cycle, but even, you've got a margin, right? And yeah, NVIDIA doubled, but Cisco multiplied by 100, so again, you've got a margin. So I think that's the key messages today from me, and I'm finishing on time. And maybe I've got time for a couple of questions if there are. But other than that, I think I'm just going to summarize what I said. I think the speed of AI is incredible. We keep learning about it. It's going to change. It's game-changing. You don't need me to tell you, but I just told you the scale of it. I told you that Europe is also a very interesting area to invest, and it's part of this AI ecosystem, and it's very early days. And if you have any more or you want to ask a question, please go on. Otherwise, you can grab me. I'll be here all day. Thank you.